Hey guys, Bob here today, and this is going to be episode 1 of what I like to call the Star Wars update. As I've mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. It's easily my favorite, kind of like universe thing in general, like in terms of movies, books, just games, anything. It's my favorite like universe and world to get lost in. So, this is going to be a weekly series where, I put out one episode a week and I'll basically just, do a rundown over what's happened in the Star Wars universe in terms of like movie news, book news, comics that's been released, any game news that we get, and just my tidbits on like speculation and leaks that have come out and my ideas. In terms of leaks, I read the Star Wars leaks subreddit all the time, so that'll easily be where I get most of my information there. And a lot of the stuff they come up with is crazy. A lot of it's fake, but it's fun to spark speculation, fun to start some conversations about what's going on, that kind of stuff. All right, so the first section of the show is going to be movie news, and I don't have a lot this week. Not much is There's been a couple uh, casting decisions, people showing up to be in the movie for Han Solo. Um, Not too familiar with most of them, but that's neither here nor there. The big piece of news I would say over the last week or so has been Billy D. Williams was seen meeting with Donald Glover. Old Lando versus young Lando meeting, meshing, having conversation. That's pretty cool. I remember a couple months back we saw Alden Ehrenreich and Harrison Ford meeting in a cafe. Very similar idea there. So that was pretty cool to see that old Lando, young Lando get to meet, especially after Billy D had comments about not knowing who Donald Glover was, which whether that was true or not really what we're here to talk about. The other thing, it's not really the last week or so. It's actually been a little while, but I still want to touch on it. Episode 8's title got revealed about, what was it, about a couple weeks ago? 2-3 weeks ago. It was actually revealed as The Last Jedi, which personally I love. I love that that's the title. I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of got like an ominous tone like The Last Jedi, and they've been kind of building it up in some of the comics. I think it was number 12 maybe of the Star Wars line. One of the ones where he's with Gracchus the Hutt, and he's talking about how Luke, he's the last of the Jedi, he's the last Jedi. And I just think that's pretty cool that they've kind of hinted at that, and it's even said in The Force Awakens. It's even said that Luke Skywalker, the last Jedi, or if he's found, more Jedi will rise. And it's like he's all that's left. I know there's been some talk about whether it's referring to Rey, whether it's referring to both of them. Jedi is a plural term, so it's like, is it Luke and Rey? Is it just Luke? I think it's reading too much into it to say that it's more than just Luke. It's Luke. Like the Last Jedi refers to Luke, and there's not much else to say about it. They're gonna bank on the fact that it's Luke. So besides that, there's not much else in terms of movie news this week. Hopefully in the next coming weeks, especially once we ramp up and get to April, Star Wars Celebration comes out, we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. The big thing in terms of book news that I have to talk about is Aftermath: Empire's End comes out in what is it, 9 days now? February 21st, I believe, is when it comes out, and I know people's opinions on the trilogy so far have been pretty mixed. First Aftermath, most people didn't like it, they hated it, they thought it was the worst book of the new canon, which I've seen some people agree, some people disagree. I know Christian Harloff on Collider said that he feels Heir to the Jedi is easily the worst, which, I've read parts of it, I haven't got too far into it, but it's a pretty compact story. It's not too heavily connected to the rest of the universe and other stuff going on, but that's whatever. Not every story has to be this big overarching plot line throughout the entire universe. It's nice when we get those, though. Personally, I thought the first Aftermath book was pretty good for what it was. I didn't expect it to be too much, and I knew going into it that it wasn't going to be, Han, Luke, and Leia's adventures post-Jedi. Like, I didn't expect that. I knew going in that, okay, we're going to have tiny little cameos maybe from them, some of them bigger than others. And then the rest of it would be, the new characters that they're bringing in, like Nora Wexley, Sinjir Roth Velas, Ray Sloan, who they've been developing throughout the different books and the comics and such. Hopefully maybe we'll see in Rebels sometime soon. You know, Mr. Bones, the reprogrammed B1 battle droid, is pretty cool. I could go on and on. I love Star Wars, but I enjoyed the first book, but easily, Life Death, the second one, was easily better. Like, so much better. Such a better book. In terms of the writing style, in terms of just the story overall. That's not to say I didn't enjoy the first one's story, but I feel like the second one ramped up, introduced some new characters. One thing I do like that Chuck Wendig does is he does those little interludes. I know some people don't like those, but I think it's kind of cool to like how they're kind of, you know, connecting with the main story in a way. Like I like Cobb Vanth on Tatooine. I like that, you know, he found what's probably Boba Fett's armor, and you know, Malakili. I like that he got a little. Malakili's the owner of the Rancor at Jabba's palace. I like that he got a little shout out there, you know. And the acolytes of the Bond, who are, you know, maybe they're foreshadowing to the Knights of Ren. They probably found Vader's lightsaber. They found other stuff. Like, that's pretty cool, you know. First book, they were peaceful. Now they're, you know, violent in the second one. Who knows? I'm excited for those, especially in Empire's End. I'm excited to see how they wrap up the story with, you know, Gallius Rax. You know, is he going to be Snoke? Are they going to find Snoke on Jakku? What's going on in Jakku? What is up with Jakku? Jakku is huge. I know I'm saying Jakku a lot, but, like, it's like, why do you want to go back to Jakku? Clearly there's something there. Whether, you know... So this is getting to speculation, but I feel like... With Rebels, they brought in Thrawn, right? From Legends, they brought him back. I'm really hoping they don't kill Thrawn off in Rebels. I really don't, because what I think they should do, you know, whether this is going to happen or not, I know they've kind of said in the new canon that there wasn't much fighting in between of 6 and 7 in those 30 years. But, you know, I'd like it if they kind of like backtracked on that. You could have something going on for maybe the first 5 or 6 years, because there's definitely a buffer period there that they could totally throw something in, kind of like they did in the Legends. What I think they should do is keep that whole like plot line of Thrawn going into the unknown regions that Palpatine sent him there. Keep that in there. Like, have Thrawn have a good victory at the end of season 3, but, you know, have him go away. Have him get sent off by Palpatine. Like, hey Thrawn, you did a really good job. Now I'm gonna have you go on this important mission. Maybe that's something to do with Jakku. Something to do with Starkiller Base. Something. Keep Thrawn alive. And, you know, maybe he doesn't show up in the sequel trilogy in episode 8 or 9. Maybe he does. But at least in books. Keep him going in books. Keep him going in comics. But I'm excited to see how they wrap up all the loose ends and the storylines that they've picked up in this Aftermath trilogy. And, you know, I'm excited to see what they do in the future. Whether, you know, I want to see a Luke, maybe a Luke trilogy, maybe a Luke book. Something. I'd really love a trilogy. I don't know. I like trilogies and books. Something just about trilogies in general are cool. But something to do with Luke. Obviously, you're going to have to wait till after episode 8 to get that, but I think that's what they'll announce, you know. Either at Celebration or, you know, right before the movie comes out. Is like, hey, here's the Luke trilogy. Here's the Luke book in between 6 and 7. I think they'll do something like that. You know, ignore the voice crack. I tend to do that a lot. Okay, let's move on to comics. I actually haven't gotten a chance to read any of the new comics that have come out in the last week or two. You know, Dr. Aphra 4, which I've loved the series so far. I've really enjoyed it. Wanted to get into, like, the first and the second issues, gotten into some good ancient Star Wars history that they're kind of, like, getting back into where the KOTOR and the Knights of the Old Republic explored with Revan and stuff. You know, we've had a few tiny little hints here and there in, like, the Obi-Wan Anakin comic, you know, kind of in some other comics, but, like, seeing a little bit cool, interesting storylines going on there is cool, and I hope they continue that, and that's kind of the thing about the Dr. Aphra comic that people, like, didn't really get at first, is, like, there's so much stuff they can use that she's an archaeologist, so they can explore some ancient Star Wars history, and I think that's pretty cool. And then they announced the Screaming Citadel crossover with the Star Wars mainline comic that they're doing. You know, that's cool. You know, Dr. Aphra, they're really pushing to be a big part of the new canon. She's showing up in all these different comics. She started in Darth Vader. She got her own line. She's crossing over. This is the second time she's crossed over. She was in the Vader Down crossover. She's even in that, whatever that new game, Star Wars game, Forces of Destiny or whatever it is. Force Arena. Yeah, she shows up there, which I think that's kind of cool. I don't know. It's kind of cool that they're recognizing, like, hey, this is actually a member of the Star Wars family. Like, she is a member of canon. She exists. Now, will we ever see her in a movie? You know, maybe, maybe not. Probably not anytime soon. She might show up in a... Actually, I don't see how she could show up in Rebels. Maybe in a different series, like if they do a post Return of the Jedi. series, which, I would totally be down for. Whether they do that, with the way the canon's going, maybe, maybe not. But we'll see that. But, they've also... I'm excited to see where they take that. They said it's going to be like a horror, gothic kind of genre vibe to it, which will be cool to see. Moving on from that, Darth Maul #1 came out, which, I saw some preview panels of it. Wrath Tars are there, which is kind of cool. Curious if we're going to see the Trillian Massacre, that Finn referenced in episode 7. I think it's kind of a cool thing to have Rathtars be in the comic because it shows, hey, because one of the problems with a lot of things in Star Wars, and it's obviously it's different now that there's Legends is gone, is like a lot of things are like, oh hey, Wampas are just on Hoth and they show up in the movie and that's basically it. It's cool to see things that from the movies cross over into the comics and vice versa, which they've done a good job at in the new canon, is making sure that, elements from every piece of the canon align and, cross over, and that's just a cool little element they've been doing, like with the Shore Trooper tanks from Rogue One showing up in the Han Solo comic like months before, or the Shore Trooper helmet showing up in the Poe Dameron comic. Like, those are some cool little things that have happened. Moving on from comics, the last bit I want to talk about is just some ideas I have, my thoughts on what they should do. I'd love it for more comics, because right now they have the Star Wars comic, they have the Poe Dameron comic, the Dr. Aphra comic, and that's it in terms of ongoing series. The Darth Maul comic is just a mini-series, and, that's all they have right now. And whether or not the Poe Dameron comic continues, I would be interested in seeing, because I really enjoy it so far. And I hope they keep going, because it started off pretty slow, but it picked up, and it's instantly become one of the better comics in the canon. And I wouldn't be opposed in the future if, they wanted to revisit Darth Vader in between 5 and 6, because they kind of used it to, show why he's so different from 4 to 5. Maybe from 5 to 6, they can, go back, do another 25 issue run, and, explore more of that. Because I'm honestly, with the way the main Star Wars comic is going, they could go... Excuse me, sorry for the gap there. They could go for years of these different comics. With the way it's going, like each arc, 6 issue arc or so is like an adventure. Like, that's a week or two at a time, really. So, varying and depending, obviously. So they can go on for a long time with this. And whether they do want to or not, fill up the timeline between between 4 and 5. Do they really want to do that too much? That's neither here nor there. They could do it, they can do it. They could not do it. So yeah, I would love more comics. A Thrawn comic would be awesome, especially if they don't kill him off. Actually, more so if they do kill him off, I would really want to see a Thrawn comic. Either way. Continue the Darth Vader comic, like I said. Whether they bring up new characters or, characters from the comics get introduced and then get their own run, or if, we want to get, a Palpatine comic, before... he became the Emperor, before the events of Episode 1. That's one thing I like that they're doing with the Yoda arc that they're doing in the main Star Wars comic, is, going before Phantom Menace, showing us, like, a time frame that we haven't really seen, but still kind of familiar with, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan showing up. That's just one of those things. In terms of books, I mentioned, I'd love to see a Luke trilogy of Luke books. I just really want to see more content. I don't really have that many ideas, per se. I could get into that next week. I'll start writing down some ideas and let you guys know. I want to see more content from them. They've been doing a good job, but like, it seems like once they got around to like ramping up Rogue One's, media attention, they started, lacking and like introducing more stuff. But that happens. Focus your attention on what's the big money maker. It hit over $1 billion recently, which is awesome. I hope that happens for every single one. I hope that happens for the Han Solo movie. And for the unannounced one, if they want to do a Boba Fett movie. I know that's gotten a lot of flack. A lot of people don't want to see a Boba Fett movie. I'm totally down for a Boba Fett movie. Just because I always tell my friends this, and anyone I talk to Star Wars about, is like, the problem with me is like, I'm just biased. I love Star Wars, so it's like, I love the prequels. I don't care that, they're obviously not the best made movies, and, they're not up to snuff with the original trilogy and even Episode 7. And, as of late, that's kind of became a moot point because a lot of people don't like Episode 7 now. But, I could get into, I could talk on and on and on about why I disagree with that sentiment. I still love Episode 7 as much as I did the day I saw it. I still say it's top 3 Star Wars movies of all time. In my opinion. That's just my opinion. That's what I like. I'm not going to flip-flop my opinion, as it seems like a lot of people do, because it seems like it's cool to hate on it now. I'm not going to do that. In terms of spin-off movies, the anthology movies, obviously Obi-Wan movie I'd love to see. Boba Fett movie I'm down with. Bounty Hunters movie, if they don't want to go just Boba Fett, they want to do a Bounty Hunter style movie. Throw in Cad Bane, throw in the crew from The Empire Strikes Back, bridge scene. I'd love an Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic movie series, along with like, a TV show based on that. I think that'd be really cool. I'm getting pretty, the runtime on this video is getting pretty long at this point, so I'm going to start wrapping up. I'm going to try to do this once a week. I'll pick a day throughout the week and try to stick to that, and that's the Star Wars Update video day. Besides that, though, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm sure the quality of this will, ramp up and get better as I go on. I might, maybe I upload this on a Monday, and then, on a Wednesday we get huge breaking news, and, I want to make a quick little video about it, Star Wars Update, like, that kind of thing. Like, I'll do that from here and there when we get the big news. And then I'll, recap it in the weekly video. But, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys liked it, you can leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. Share my page, let people know. Spread the word. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.